What's going on, penny boys and gals? What's going on, stock traders? And welcome to our Technical Thursday. We are doing these streams now every Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern time zone, so be sure to check those out. And of course, as always, I am live here with Pookie's Revenge. How are we doing, Pookie?
Doing pretty well. How are you?
Good, good. So those of you who don't know, Pookie's Revenge is our technical analysis expert. So for Technical Thursday, we go over all things charting. And today we're actually be going over Webull Hotkeys. I know a lot of people are asking, like, oh, how do you use Webull Hotkeys? Like, what do you use them for? What are the different functions? Well, this definitely does help when it comes to charting, comes to trading in general. So we want to kind of do like a Webull Hotkeys 101, like the basics of how how they work. I personally don't even use them. So Pookies, I'm be asking you a lot of questions, and if anyone watching has any questions, be sure to ask in the comments section. We got a bunch of people in there already. How's it going, Nikki? How's it going? We got Devin. How are we all doing? So make sure to ask any questions you have in the chat, and I'll ask them to Pookie as well as we go. So let's just get right into it. Webull Hotkeys, what are they? How do they work? Actually, for just for me personally, how do you even access them? Like, where do you go?
All right. So obviously, as we teach in the PBU and the PBA, that you should be familiar with your interface so you can be an efficient trader and you don't have to fumble over, a bunch of controls and things you don't really understand, and because that's how mistakes happen. So understanding how to use interface, knowing where everything is very important, and that also reduces a lot of the stress. Say if one of your stocks that you're holding turns into a falling knife and you don't have a stop loss placed, if you have to get to that order and close it, close that position in a heartbeat, and you don't know exactly where to go and how to do it, or you don't have anything set up ahead of time, you might be in for a stressful day. So to access the settings, we can, if you're using the desktop app, it's going to be in the lower left-hand corner under settings. And then under the, you have your general settings, you have your hotkeys, your trade, your active trade stuff, or your trade settings for like your access and default settings, your notifications, and your account and security settings. So today we're going to be looking under hotkeys. And for those who aren't familiar with the interface, I'm just using a dark theme. That's why it's black with a colored chart and stuff like that rather than the white, because the white, it just burns out your retinas if you're staring at it all day. So that's important too. All right, so if you click under hotkeys, you have these three categories here. You have general, chart, and trade. And then you also have this: show available active trade and target security when pressing hotkeys. So if I set my hotkey to like control 1, for example, if I hold down control, if I'm looking at a chart, let's just go there. If I hold control, it says control 1 is set to buy market, control 2 is to close. So I know that right there, if I hold control, I'm going to be dealing with my active trade settings. So I can manage my positions easier that way. All right, so if we go back under hotkeys, you can collapse these columns or these categories just by clicking on the little arrow next to them or the text. So what would you like to know, Duck?
Okay, so really quick, what you just said before. So that's that little box here. I'm going to pull up my screen as well. The show available active trade and target security when pressing hotkey. So basically, that's what you just press control and it'll tell you what your hotkeys are.
If that's if you've set those up ahead of time under active trade, then yes. So if you click here, so let me just go through that again. So I'm opening the trade section here, and then I'm clicking the active trade settings button. That opens up your active trade settings. So I have
I see.
My just a buy quick $20. It's a small account here. So quick $20 buy, I set to control 1. And then I just minimize this options ones because I don't do options on this account. And then if I just want to close that position, I just hit control 2 and it closes it at market price. So it's really good for getting in and out of trades really quickly. You can obviously set to the bid, the ask. You can set all these preset templates up and assign a hotkey to them, so you can just fire them off.
So it looks like, so I'm gonna pull up mine one more time. It looks like you have this, order type, the quantity. So this is like, how to do a quick buy. Can you do more? Like, control 1 can be a market buy of 100. Control 2 can be of 50. Is that possible, or is this one type of buy?
Absolutely. So you can go under trade settings here, and you can so you can add these buttons. So if you hit create a customized button, you can name it whatever you want, like buy 50 market, for example.
I see.
And then you can just hit create, and then you go under this one here, and then you can change the settings. So if you wanted to do 50 shares, you can do all that. You delete them by hitting the little trash can next to them.
So that little available button is the little plus button, or the little plus next to it. That's how you create your own personalized hotkeys.
Yes, right up here in the corner.
Cool.
And you can also set your default orders to establish brackets. So you can set a stop loss and a take profit above a certain dollar amount, certain percentage, above and below your entry price. So when you place your primary order to buy the shares, for example, it'll automatically set a stop loss and a take profit. And then, I'm just going to delete this. So when you go back to your chart, it'll set the, like say you bought it here, it would set a stop loss down here and a take profit up here. I like to set them a little bit wide so then I can just kind of drag them into place, and then that'll set them in stone.
Okay. All right, so that's how you place market buys, market sells with hotkeys. Gotcha.
Yep, you can buy the bid, buy the ask, sell the bid, sell the ask, and just set up these customized ones that are more customizable and fun. And you can do the same thing with options as well. So if you're someone who trades options and shares, you can set your control one to buy market on stocks for common shares, and then for options, say you want to use the alt key for your hotkeys, you can kind of separate them based on category.
Okay.
Yeah.
Search or change stock. Okay.
And just another little quick tip: if you're someone who is scalping and you like to use market to get in and out with hotkeys, you're going to want to go under order settings and change this order confirmation to no. And then that way, when you hit the hotkey, it won't ask you if you want to actually enter or actually sell, because that little pop-up can be annoying. Typically, I leave it on for my markets, but if I'm trying to scalp, like you could see here on, we've traded OPAD quite a bit today. We took an entry right here, and I didn't want to wait for the little box, because as soon as I entered this position, not this candle here, but the next candle after that, if I was a little late to that, I could have missed this entire candle, which is 3% off my profits.
So by using the hotkeys, you're able to make those buys quicker. Like Devin Souls has said, that does seem super resourceful for day trading. Is that kind of like where you're probably using these hotkeys the most, is for day trading?
Absolutely. But the caveat is, if you do that, you need to pay attention to the bid and ask, because if there's a wide spread, you're probably going to get filled on one side or the other, whether or not you're, depending on whether you're buying or selling. So you need to be mindful of that, because if you buy and sell immediately and the price only moves a few cents, but there's a wider bid and ask, you could potentially be losing money.
So question, I don't want to don't obviously do it, but let's just say that you order, I'm just you do like a hotkey buy or whatever. Is it going to say are you sure, press OK or cancel, or is it just going to go ahead and immediately buy it?
Well, that's what the order confirmation thing is for. So if, again, I'm just kind of going out and going back in so people can follow along, so it's easier to get the pathway down. So if I want to buy market and I set that to control 1, as long as this order confirmation down here under order settings is set to no, it won't ask me.
Okay. And once again, just really quickly, how do you get back to that? So you go to active trade settings, right?
Yep. So from your chart, you click the lower left corner here. It says settings. Okay. And then you click under hotkeys. And then you can just collapse these.
I see.
Click active trade settings here. And then the order confirmation is under order settings. So you got to minimize this options or stocks tab.
Gotcha. So it's active trade settings, and then order settings, order confirmation. And if it says no, it won't, give you any, it'll just make the trade automatically.
It'll just fire it off. The only time it'll notify you is if you are using unsettled funds to buy, because it'll still pop up with that potential good faith violation notification that it has to do.
Gotcha.
Yep. Which, ideally, if that's happening, you probably don't want to trade so much with the day trades, because you're not gonna be able to sell the same day.
So do you use? Okay, go.
Oh no, I was just gonna say another useful thing. If you have a bunch of limit buy orders set on a stock, and there's a the stock market just takes a dump sometimes, you can also cancel all. It's a panic button.
Red button.
So you can cancel all your pending buy and sell orders with this. So if you set a hotkey to I don't want to say Alt F4 or something, but something you're gonna know is I need to cancel everything right now kind of thing, or maybe even on a Friday if you got a bunch of pending day trades, like breakout day trades that you were waiting for. If you set a bunch of buy stop orders to catch them on the way up, you could just cancel them all at the end of the day with that as well. And you can flip them around. If you're, this is actually very helpful if you're scalping. Rather than buying and selling, you can reverse them and swap them around to the opposing the opposing buyer-sell order. Of course, it says here Webull margin account only because you can't short sell on a cash account. So if you have a cash account, this does not apply to you, and that's fine.
Do you use the charting hotkeys or the hotkeys for charting?
Absolutely. So let's hit done. So under hotkeys, I'm just going to minimize that. If you go to chart and expand that, you can see I got a bunch of settings for my drawing tools. Unfortunately, they don't have anything for like for your indicators. You can't have any like preset custom indicators. I know a lot of swing traders specifically like to use horizontal lines for structural support and resistance. And we generally encourage that you use different colors for different time frames so that it's a little bit easier to understand what the lines are if you're zoomed in really far. So I just use Shift H to draw my lines. So if I just go back to the chart really quick, I'm just going to scroll up here because that trade is done. If I just hit Shift H and it'll just turn into a pencil as soon as I move my mouse, and I can just click right there and draw a pencil. And that saves me a lot of time from having to go up here and potentially, having to click this drop down and then click horizontal line and then click on the chart. It just makes life a lot easier because I could just, click and do a whole bunch of lines.
Yeah, I mean, especially with stock trading, especially time is money, so it's good to be able to chart all your get all your charting done in less time, so you can have more time to look at another stock as opposed to to spending all this time just trying to do this drop down menus and probably end up getting too tired by the time you get to like stock number 3 or 4.
Yeah, exactly. So if we go to BTB for example, and I'm just going to do this is to show you another cool tip. If you click this button right here, stay in drawing mode, it'll just wait until you pick your next drawing tool. In this case, it's going to be a horizontal line. And you can literally just click, 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 and just keep drawing your lines over and over again without having to keep hitting the button.
Yeah, you just click, usually to click like draw a horizontal line and then make the line and go back and click again, draw a horizontal line, did the second one. Okay, that's really helpful. I like that.
Yeah. It's really good if you're looking for day trade setups too, because you always want to look at the higher time frames to make sure nothing's going to get in the way. So if you can just go to a higher time frame and just plot all your support and resistances right away, or whatever trend lines or whatever tool you decide to use, then you can just pop into the smaller time frames. And I believe you can use Control T also to switch time frames. At least that's the way I have it set up. I'm not sure if it's by default. Then you could just pop to the lower time frames and then you use your little hotkeys to get in and out of trades if the thing's moving pretty quick.
Wow.
And then, of course, the delete all key is our friend. You can also hide them and enable and disable the magnet mode. So if I draw Fibonacci, for example, if I draw anywhere near this high, it's going to snap to it. So I can it'll snap to it, and then I have a little bit of wiggle room before it goes away. So it's a little bit easier to draw. It's doing that because I'm zoomed out really far. So I kind of move my mouse around a little bit, and it just kind of snaps to it. But if I have magnet mode disabled, it's not going to do anything when I get near that level. So that's useful as well.
All this seems like it's gonna, once I get, people in general get good at it, and remember what all the hotkeys are, you can save a lot of time when it comes to all this stuff, especially with day trading too.
Absolutely.
Get a much better entry.
It's not set by default, but I have it set to Control T for changing my time interval.
Gotcha.
So maybe that's why it probably won't work for everyone else until they set that.
Where is that time interval? Oh, I see. It changed. Yeah, for me it's Control T. I didn't even do anything yet.
Okay, so maybe it's set by default.
So I think it is. Yeah, default.
Okay, cool.
Well, there you go. Control T. We'll try it. Yeah. Nothing happened.
Okay.
Oh no! It is working. Yeah, it's moving from. Whoops.
Sorry.
Moving from from. Here it is. Control
okay, there
T
you go.
month.
So your time frame is there at the bottom for those who are following along.
Yeah, right here.
And
Control T. Sorry, I'm just playing with a new toy.
Just to add to this, if you have certain time frames that you like to look at, you can enable and disable them from showing up on this list by clicking this little arrow. Just for those who are new to the interface, and then you can just put a little star next to them, the ones you want to see. If I remove one, it's gonna pop up at the end of the list if I re-add it. So if I click on this day, for example, it disappears, and then if I click day again, Oh, they put, okay. I stand corrected. I guess they fixed it. It used to show up at the end of the list here, and that was annoying.
Oh,
But yeah, so if you don't see like the 15-minute time frame, you just click this, and then there's a star right next to it. You just click that, and it'll show up.
so Devin Souls is asking, whenever you draw lines to say set resistance levels, does it continue to be on the chart until you remove them?
Yes, and the so it's a easy question with a difficult answer. It's kind of a mixed answer. So on the desktop app, yes. But if I change accounts, those lines will disappear because you can have two accounts on the desktop on Webull.
Ah,
But
by two accounts, you mean like having a margin account and a cash account, right?
yes,
Gotcha.
yeah. And if I used to work in a cardiology office, and I would trade in the daytime on a hidden spot in a hidden workspace on my computer. I had to hide it like a drug habit. And then so I would do all my plotting, and I'd come home and log in to the website version at home on that account, and the lines would be gone. So if you're using the website version, the lines may not persist. I don't know if they've updated it yet. So maybe that's something we can test. But as far as I know, only the desktop app does that. And it preserves them based on the account. So if I switch accounts, these lines will not be here. So if I look back at OPAD, the lines we had drawn earlier today are still there. See? But if I log in my other account, they're not going to be there. So that's all. That's a great question, though, because that was something that we discussed back in the early days of the Pennybois University. We were curious.
Right.
But yeah.
Well,
So
anything else as far as hotkeys go, or any tips or tricks when it comes to using hotkeys?
Yeah, definitely set your drawing tools to whatever's comfortable for you, because drawing horizontal lines, you're going to draw thousands of those over the course of a month or a year, especially if you're heavy into charting. The trend line is also amazing. So if you have if you have a need for that, that's a handy one to have. Vertical lines are okay. I use them a lot for, putting a little crosshair on my chart for where I bought or sold or something.
All right.
Rays are relatively new, and I like that. I'm glad they put them in finally, as our extended lines. That's great for drawing channels and stuff, because it extends out past where your mouse drags, so it'll just persist forever. So if a stock keeps going up, that could potentially act as a support or resistance line in the future. Whereas if you drew it with a mouse, you'd have to manually extend it, and that sucks. Fibonacci retracements and extensions, I use those a lot, so that's always good. And obviously the text, I just do the text manually. I don't bother typing too much on the chart, so it's not a big deal for me. There is, so if you zoom in with your mouse wheel, you can see it just kind of zooms in and kind of spreads the price across. But if you hold Alt and do it, it scrolls left or right. So that's important too. So I zoom out, I scroll to the right, and then I zoom back in. And then I scroll out, zoom to the right, zoom back in. And depending on where the mouse is when you scroll, like let's say I want to put this stuff on the right side of the screen, and then I want to have it stay there, I'll put my mouse right over that candle and scroll, and it'll keep it right there.
Oh.
So if you find a good spot on the chart that you want to extend throughout the rest of the day, like this red candle right here, just put your mouse over it and scroll that wheel across. So that can be helpful too. What else is there as far as that stuff goes?
Well, Ron was asking about, and it's a great question, when it comes to buying and selling at the market, like, using a market buy or sell hotkey, does it sell or buy at the current price that you see, like right now, like for instance, 17.95 or 93.91 as it keeps moving, or is it the bid and ask that it sells or buys that?
Well, okay, so that's the difference between a market order and a limit order. If you set a limit order, you can choose what price you want it to fill at. It guarantees that price, but it doesn't guarantee execution. Market order guarantees execution, but it doesn't guarantee a price. So if I were to place a buy market order right here, I mean, this is pretty volatile, so it might jump around. I'm going to get filled at the ask price in most cases, because that's when this is the selling price that people are trying to get rid of their shares and they want cash. So this is the price that gets filled first. If I'm trying to sell, like me personally, I probably get filled at the bid side, because that's the cheapest that it could go for, that there's more people waiting to buy down there. And of course, this has a a spread. It's a 28-cent spread, so it's very dangerous to use a market order for this because I could get filled anywhere between those two prices. So it really just depends on which one of these sides has more demand. So it's you just get filled on like as needed, I guess is the best way to put it.
Right.
Especially like if you're on a different brokerage like Robinhood and stuff, their order fills are they're a little bit different because you're technically going through the broker and then they execute like batch orders on your behalf. So they might still quote unquote guarantee you a price. But if they delay that batch, you're just going to get filled at that price and then they're not going to care. So, typically I use limit orders almost exclusively, especially if there's a nice wide bid and ask. And in that case, I just go to my trade and you can set up limit orders and you can set the, okay, so if you go under active trade here, you can create these customized buttons. And I also so I have this just set to $20 at market, and I also have one buy at the ask. Okay. And then I have a sell button for market, and then I have a sell button for the bid. So, it depends. Rule of thumb, though, is you're going to get filled. If you're trying to buy, it's going to fill you at the highest price. And if you're trying to sell, it's going to sell at the cheapest price first.
So Devin next is asking a great question. They're asking, do you recommend limit or market orders for newer traders? Devin says that they've only used a limit order, but didn't know if there was a more beneficial time to use one or the other.
I absolutely recommend limit orders first. It depends on what kind of trading you're going to be doing, obviously. So if we look at, we'll just go back to BTBT, right? Because there's different buy strategies we can use as well. So if you go to your hourly chart, normally we plot the support and resistances out on the daily chart, but I'm just kind of walking you through this really quick. If you determine there's a level here that you're interested in, there's a level here that you're interested in, and then there's maybe another level that's lower that you're interested in, you could place limit buys for all three of these levels and not have to watch the stock, right? So if you're swing trading, this is ideal in most cases because it allows you to kind of set and forget it. Plus, it also ties up your capital so that the money you set aside for this buy, you can't spend elsewhere. Of course, we don't want to do that if something has a lot of potential downside because we're just going to be essentially chasing it down. And if something falls down, all your orders can get filled back to back. And then if it doesn't come back up, you're kind of stuck, right? So typically for these smaller orders, I recommend if you're going to do it that way, just use like 1 or 2 shares just so that you get a notification that it was filled. And then you can kind of look at the chart and see what's going on. You can also just use alarms, but I prefer doing it this way because it works after hours. If you're trading something a lot more volatile, something that's going crazy throughout the day, like OPAD, for example, if you're trying to get a day trade in, then obviously, if this spread were like 1 or 2 cents, that would be better for a market order. But in this case, I would still use a limit order or a buy stop order. It depends on what kind of strategy you have and how fast you really need to trade it. If you're a newer trader, you're probably not going to want to try to scalp because that's very risky. But we do teach the different order types and their uses in the Pennybois University, and then we dive much, much further into detail in the advanced courses. So if that's something that you're interested in, that's offered with premium. And the Pennybois University is included in premium.
It sure is. And we definitely do recommend doing Pennybois University and going on to the Pennybois advanced classes once you become a Pennybois University alumni. And of course, we have all of our free courses as well and all of our free live streams on YouTube. Tomorrow we have our Crypto Weekend watch list at 2 p.m. Eastern, so be sure to watch that because you cannot trade stocks over the weekend. But if you want to get that trading fix and you can trade crypto, so we'll be going over some levels to look at when it comes to crypto over the weekend. Then, of course, we have our PBU live stream Tuesdays. Isn't that right, Pookies? You're going to be on that one again?
That is correct. I stream Tuesday mornings in the premium section, and then we carry it into the advanced. So the advanced members get a little more access to us.
Then we have our PBU live at 2 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, which is a lot of fun. Nikki, myself, and Revenge will be hosting that. We'll be going over the homework, everyone who got 100%. We'll be doing some homework answer shout-outs, giving out some entries to our $500 Visa gift card giveaway. You can check out the contest area in our Discord for more information on that giveaway. And Devin's saying, I'm in PBU now and loving it. Is there a hotkey to set a trailing stop loss as you take profits along the way, or do you have to just adjust your stop loss each time?
Well, unfortunately, I don't believe there is in the current Webull setup. Although you might be able to, let's take a look and see if we can find one. Because I think it only allows market orders and limit orders for these. So let's just click on this. It would be under order type, so no, I don't see an option for that. However, you can set the limit order and have it fill on the chart, and then you can just kind of drag it around and have it set where you leave it. So if you see a new support level formed, and let's say you had a stop loss set right here at this level, okay, and you see a new support formed up here, you can just drag it right below that, and it'll automatically move that stop order up, and then you can kind of move it manually from there. That could be very useful in day trades, especially if you're trading something like this, because you could set a sell limit order right here, and then you could set your stop loss below here, and then just move it up as the trade goes until one or the other is hit. The only other option, of course, is to right click, create new order, and then just set it as a stop loss, or trailing stop, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So in that case, I think what I'd recommend is usually just to set up a hotkey for the to set the brackets when you buy your order. So rather than setting a hotkey specifically for stop loss, I think it's probably better just to do when you buy your orders like this, or when you when you do this, when you set this up, you just check these boxes, stop loss and take profit. Just set them a little bit farther out. And then again, once they're plotted, you'll have the levels on your chart already for take profit and stop loss, and then you can just kind of move them into place, if that makes sense.
That does. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, that's something that's covered in the Pennybois University and the advanced courses when we get into the order type stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to go into all that stuff in great detail in our advanced ones as well.
Yes, sir.
Well, anything else from you, Pookies? That 30-minute mark, you don't want to make this too long for those who are watching after the fact. You want them to be able to soak in as much information as possible with those, everyone has busy schedules and all that. We definitely want to accommodate everyone when it comes to these streams, and of course, Pennybois University. So, we do make it so that anyone can take it, regardless of their schedule. But yeah, anything else from you, Pookie?
Yeah, I mean, just going back to what I said at the beginning of the stream, knowing how to use your interface and being efficient with it and reducing distractions in your environment, which, cause stress and mistakes to happen, is pretty critical for successful trading. So if you'd like to learn more about how to use Webull, how to trade in general, we go into how to use all these widgets and stuff like that, how to use watch lists and all the good stuff. We teach it in the Pennybois University and the advanced courses. So if you're willing to invest your time, then we can make you a better trader, and I hope to see you there.
Awesome. Yeah, and I hope to also see y'all there. And until then, I hope that you all make some bread.